Yeah.
I don't actually know how long this is gonna be. This could be 15 minutes, and then I'll just be like, half hour
Then
break.
we'll just
That's
hop up to game nights and
yeah,
join the rest of the team.
yeah. Hey, XSAP, get out of that dungeon. We got role playing to do.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm gonna end up doing a separate recap for you, just because, uh, you know, gotta make sure we know what had just happened in life. Uh, we did a lot of fighting.
We did a lot of fighting.
Uh, I blame I blame Try for this, to be honest. Uh, the reason I blame. Hold on, real quick. Let me just punt this real fast. Sorry, I just fired up Roll20 and saw that Sab was here.
He probably just has it open so that he's not late.
I mean, probably, but it was still fun. Yeah, so we did a lot of fighting, and this is all John's fault because he sort of showed me this idea of, yeah, the game is designed around this difficulty curve of having roughly 3 encounters, and then you get a long rest. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Really hard to do that in like a city setting, but we'll figure it out. Uh, but we just finished roughly like 4 combats in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and some of them were pretty darn crazy. This second one in particular was kind of the combat, where you guys took on an entire crime syndicate.
Yep. Was that
That was pretty cool.
intentional or was that just because we were like, hey, let's blow up this building now?
Uh, I had like 2 whole sessions worth of stuff for like, oh, like, sneak around and here's some NPCs to help guide them around so that they, blend in a little bit. And maybe they like take up jobs for a day or two to sneak and figure out where all of the hostages are.
Mm-hmm.
And then, no, you guys showed up, talked to one NPC who wanted to help, and were like, nah, screw that guy.
That sounds right.
I mean, literally, the first NPC was like, "Hey, you look like you're here to stir trouble. Let me help." And you're like, "Nope, next." So we
Hold
went
my
to
healing
the
soup.
yeah. So you went to the next NPC, and that guy was like, "I'm not helping you. Screw that. You can go talk to the boss." And you were like, "Sweet, let's go talk to the boss." So the boss turns out to be a huge sack of crap, which shouldn't be that surprising because it's a crime syndicate. Duh. And you guys flip a switch and be like, so we're gonna punch him, right? And I was like,
Winning.
sure, I guess.
That's amazing.
And then you like, that was the map was big enough, and there were a lot of closed buildings and stuff that I was like, oh, I could totally see them like sneaking around and like taking people out like Metal Gear style, like really trimming this down so that when they got to that boss fight, it wouldn't be a big deal. Uh, and then no, that didn't happen at all.
Oh, nay, nay.
But I was like, I'm not gonna like despawn all these guys and reward them for that. So I guess everybody's just gonna run at them. So that was 2 sessions worth of recap.
And then we ran into the new bad guy.
Yeah, that was cool too. Afterwards, you had a brief conversation with, well, a very brief conversation with the ominous Bondbreaker,
Mm-hmm.
who flat out murked the boss to save you guys a little bit of trouble. Uh, and then while you guys rescued hostages from the now burning building, which, by the way, was not like that couldn't have happened more serendipitously. But it worked out. I was like, I'm not pulling punches on that. Uh, while you guys did that, the guard came in, and Commander Christail was just like righteously pissed off. Which I'm gonna be honest, like I could tell the players are like, "Why are you mad? We did good," and I didn't have the heart to be like, "Yeah." You freaking murder goblins. I guess technically it worked out this time. But what if he wasn't a crime boss and was just a
Mhm.
really surly dude?
Yep.
Uh, so that was cool. And there were also some uh, shaded accusations that I'm not going to bother repeating because I'll probably repeat them later.
Mm.
And then the commander was like, "All right, fine. I guess you did good. Now go rendezvous with Garda Staffer, and because she was the one who told us that you were here,
Mhm.
thank goodness, and finish looking to because there might be more hostages." I keep saying hostages. They were slaves. They were being sold into slavery. Uh, I have. Oh,
If you are taking us to a different screen, maybe just take my character but not his, and maybe he'll stay there.
I
I,
don't
I
actually know how to do
John's
that.
better at this stuff than I am. I do know that he
Uh,
has the ability to drag people from place to place.
I'm. Could you give me 1 second? I'm gonna go
Sure,
yell at Sav. I'll be right
absolutely.
back.
You got it.
All right, we're back, and I think
Yay!
everybody's still smiling.
Excellent.
So you went to rendezvous with Garda Staffer, only to find out that she'd been brutally murdered. And I mean, like honestly, pretty brutally murdered.
Mhm.
It was there was blood everywhere. Uh, but the interesting thing was that the person who had done the murdering was someone who's very familiar to you personally. In fact, I'm pretty sure that when he saw you, he opened up with, "Ah, Songbird, it's nice to see you."
Mhm. He did, and he's
Uh,
creepy and makes me uncomfortable with
well,
his
that's unfortunate.
familiarity.
It's unfortunate for what we're about to do, but there was a whole combat scene that was honestly very short because again it was this is like the third time I've said this. This scene that scene was developed before I realized you guys had access to Fireball. So now I know that, and that's fine. I'm just going to recalibrate a little. But also that's fine because we got through some interesting things, and like one of the things I think came up in that everybody just kind of shrugged and accepted was a thing was he was by himself, and that's not cool or really a great way to balance an encounter. So before the fight started, he threw a bunch of blood vials,
Yep.
and from those blood vials emerged those strange chaotic beasts that you've encountered a couple times now,
Mhm.
including one that was much larger than normal and was more golem-esque. You still dispatched it pretty quick and took care of the assassin as well. And when you did, he politely insisted that the party spare him so that he could spill his guts. And he was like, "I will happily tell you everything I know. No, wait, Songbird, I'll tell you everything I know."
Mm.
And you were like, "Nah." And he's like, "No, seriously, I have some secrets to keep." And you were like, "Oh, gosh, dang it."
I guess I'll hear them.
Yep. Uh, by the way, I'm totally okay doing this recap because frankly, I'm recapping like 3 sessions of combat, and so it's an easy one.
Yeah.
And now you guys are on the hook for the hard ones later on. So, I did also mention we're going to do a quick time skip because there's only so many sessions that I can put into one day before it starts to feel weird.
Right. Especially if we
So,
need rest and recovery.
yeah, you guys are going to get a nice long rest. The uh, your quarters at the Culinary and Guild Embassy are there for you, uh, and plenty of guards have come to apprehend the assassin, who I don't actually think has even introduced himself yet. So that'll be fun. Uh, the next morning, you are all summoned to Satiri Guard Central Command, and you in particular are mentioned in that summon. So the time skip will be you guys arriving at the Central Command. I keep wanting to say police station, which is
Mhm.
sort of true, but not quite. So when you arrive, you are immediately greeted by. I should be looking at your page. I'm looking at an entirely different page for no good reason. Uh, you are greeted immediately by Guard Harbrook, who you have encountered a couple times
Mhm.
previously. Previously, an administrative assistant style guard who, I don't know, maybe everybody in with any power realizes that you guys have worked well together. So she's getting some play. And it's always nice when I name an NPC and they don't immediately get murdered. Rest in peace, Tapper. So, uh, the party is taken deep into Central Command, and when like at the point where you guys are starting to think like we might be lost, should somebody tell Selene that like I haven't seen the sun since this morning, she stops at a door that looks like it was built to keep in large animals.
Oh
Like
dear.
this thing is reinforced so fiercely that it has runes carved into it that are actively glowing. This is thick wood that is reinforced with metal bars. Like these doors are probably magic items.
Do I recognize any of it?
If you want to make an Arcana check.
Not that I spend a lot of time in jails, but
No, not at all. Uh, you know what? Taking a look, you haven't done any of these in particular, but maybe you recognize a couple of these runes. Uh, the closest I can say with being anachronistic as it is these are blast doors.
okay.
Like
Like magic blast doors.
these doors look like they are magically reinforced and physically reinforced to take really heavy hits.
Interesting.
Uh,
They're gonna lock me in there with them, aren't they?
Gardis Harbrook, when she like when you get to the doors, she does not look happy about this, but she says to the group, at the request of both the prisoner and acquiescing as unwillingly as she did the commander, only you, Mira, are to enter and question the suspect.
Okay, I know that Holden is going to have a hard time with this, so I'm going to put my hand on his arm and tell him that I'll be okay and that he and Glitch are welcome to wait right outside the door.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I am going to GM authorize that he's just not going in there,
Yep.
and he can find a way to justify that himself. So I'm going to move you to. Do you realize how hard it is to find a good jail cell picture?
I believe you.
Like, it's either a medieval torture chamber or it's a modern detective's room. But, like,
Oh.
this was a hard background to find. The man who is sitting in pretty much the only furniture in the room, which is one of two chairs, looks distinctly different than when you saw him before. He's been stripped of a lot of his ornamentation, his cloak, his weapons, the very ornate hood that he was wearing. But at the end of that is still a rather dashing and noble looking tiefling. He is sitting with very proper posture, with his arms crossed on his lap and his ankles crossed, almost as if they are maybe trying to, like, it kind of looks like he's trying not to make light of or make you see that he is manacled, but he's very clearly manacled with
Got it.
like steel bracers that have a lot of those similar runes as on the door.
Okay.
And he's not like hiding them, like they're not behind his back or anything. He's just, you know, maybe trying to get you to focus on torso up.
Mhm.
But he is smiling. Uh, as you walk in the door, it closes behind, and you hear some latches that sound like the mechanism is bigger than most people's weapons. And there is just a second of stillness before he's. Welcome in, Songbird. Please, take a seat.
Mm, I don't intend to stay a moment longer than I have to, so I will stand. And I'm going to walk with my back against the wall to a corner and just make direct eye contact with him.
Sure. Well, actually, in this case, this picture is pretty accurate. He's in the chair and you're in the corner.
Hmm.
Uh, he he watches for a second and shrugs a bit. I understand, of course, but you must see by now. And he raises his hands, still crossed, but in front of his chest for a second. I promise you, I assure you, I can't possibly hurt you in this condition. Despite the fact that you healed my wounds somewhat, I do feel a bit restrained at the moment.
I'm in the business of privacy, and you are uncomfortably familiar.
Yes, and I would apologize for that if I had any idea how that happened. But I will say I am just as surprised as you were. Exactly an opportunity that I was looking for fell into my lap and my mind. Although, perhaps it might have been better if you hadn't arrived just in time for business.
Tell me more about this business, if you truly had nothing to do with what I saw.
Well, the business is straightforward, my dear Songbird. It's exactly what you saw. I kill people, and my contractors give me large sums of money for it.
Were you involved in any of the murders in the shipping district?
Oh, yes, most of them. Not all of them, but I also did dispatch one or two of the people that were trying to, at a lesser level, do the same job.
And for what reason? Who do you work for? And what are they
He
trying to accomplish?
he starts grinning pretty fiercely and says, "I love that you are asking all the right questions, but with such haste, that's a shame. But that's all right. I'm sure we'll cover all of the bases in time. As for who, I wish I could tell you a name, but unfortunately, I don't have one. But I have some fairly strong and well-founded suspicions. Oh, actually, that saves me a bit of effort. He pats his chest for a second, says, "They confiscated it." So I don't believe I have my current contract anymore, but you did see one. He pauses for a second, says, "Yes, that was the same client." The contracts arrive, a bit of parchment, a picture, a name, a basic description of where to find them, and when the contract is complete, the parchment disappears, and with this client in particular, 3 coins of favor appear in my hand, and for that much gold, I would not hesitate to stab my metaphorical sibling, and I'm pretty sure they would understand too.
If you're comfortable making your money in that way, I could see that. Who do you suppose has it out for you that would try to connect us?
Oh, that one I could not say. I genuinely have no understanding of how that connection happened. I'm not even sure what you were doing at the time. I am very aware that you could see what I was doing, but I could not see anything as to what you were doing in the moment. I got, at best, a brief flash of your life, as if somebody had taken your entire biography and broken it down into a pamphlet.
And what secrets were included in that pamphlet?
A bit about your upbringing, a bit about Nosma, uh, the the whole secret keeper's business, your a bit about your relationship with your companion Holden. I would be curious to see how that one pans out. And a few of your more modern exploits. You did make Noka Bay sound rather interesting. I am curious to see it someday.
And that is how you knew I would be interested in your secrets.
Yes. In fact, it was sort of exactly what I needed. It changed the plans a little bit, but only for the better.
So tell me how I can help you.
Well, the short version, my dear Songbird, is my contractor, and I don't say this lightly. I understand how saying this will sound from someone of my position. My contractor terrifies me. And if they are planning anything near what I think they're planning, then they need to be stopped. But unfortunately, due to the nature of these contracts, if it was ever revealed that I had told anybody of what I know or what I think is happening, not only would the contracts be void, which we'll get to later why that's important, but also my life would be forfeit. And we can't have that.
You know that I
So,
can keep your secrets, but you did murder someone in front of an audience. I can't sweep that under the rug.
oh, of course, I have every intention of being imprisoned for my heinous acts. However, the things that I tell you beyond that are what I need you to keep secret. What I need you to keep secret is that I'm telling you any details as to what I know about my contractor or their plans
So that they can be stopped.
so that they can be stopped.
I'll keep your secrets.
Wonderful. I thought so. And trust me, as we get further into this business deal, I promise you'll see tremendous benefits from it, besides the nature of your organization. So let's see where to begin. I really wish I still had that contract on me.
Did they confiscate it when they arrested you?
They did. Actually, hold on one moment. His arms are still shackled and crossed, but he reaches into his jacket, and you see him wince for just a second. And when he pulls his hand out on his middle nail, you see just a fleck of blood under that nail. He says, "Well, that was worth an effort. No, I'm afraid that contract will elude me for now." "That's all right. It was mostly going to be for show. There's not a lot of useful information for you. Well, actually, you know most of the useful information. My current contract was for the head of the Satiri Company." Very carefully worded, this one was. "The head of the Satiri Company of Minra Exports."
Why?
Well, the simple answer is that my contractor, I have reason to believe, is doing everything in their power to disrupt shipping and trade through between specifically Satir and Porto Maria.
I see. Does this
I
have
should.
anything to do with the great banquet for the god?
Yes, I believe it does. Uh, Partially because a few of my targets were also culinarians, but many of my targets were people that imported foods, either materials from monsters or exotic spices and fruits. Satir does have quite a bit of agricultural land amongst the scrub. Actually, I did see a brief flash that you visited some recently.
Yes, actually, we did.
Well, I was quick to put together that something in particular was amiss, and I will admit, whether or not I could say no to 3 coins of favor per contract, I was not so foolish that I would look the other way of where that money was coming from.
So
And my
you do
first
have
hint.
a conscience.
Oh, yeah. My dear Miralana, we must come to some understanding that you see me as some evil, malcontent killer, but for the most part, my employment is merely survival. I mean, would you be angry against the carcass? Well, no, that's a terrible example, but would you be angry against the Malarsis beasts that hunt on the plains? They kill for food, and I kill for, well, the money to afford food. I don't eat my targets. That would be horrible.
Well, I would prefer and be more comfortable with the fifth person that knows my name in the entire world not being a murderer. But since we
Well,
find ourselves in this situation,
and I do apologize for that. I understand how hard you've worked to keep it a secret, and I promise that I will only refer to you in public as Songbird. But I did think it was important to stress that, like it or not, we have a certain bond.
we seem to.
Well, the reason I was looking for that contract was less in the moment because of the fact that it targeted your dear Julienne Primrose, but more because while it wasn't signed, the contract did come with a rather specific insignia.
Am I to take this to mean then that her father has been dispatched, since he
No,
is technically the head?
that is not true. It was going to be. I had every intention of sailing to Mirror Bay, throwing him into the bay, and calling it for the evening, but then I discovered, roughly at the time that you did, that he was handing his business, specifically the Satiri office, to his daughter Julian. which unfortunately meant that he was no longer the target of my contract.
Did you know that she was a member of our party before we connected? Or was that one of the pieces of information that you got?
I had already been tracking her. In fact, you may ask your friend Rayun about that. I believe he might have spotted me. That was a shame. But I did find out before you arrived in Satir.
I see. Who else knows that she's with us and in our care at the moment? Do your, I suppose, contractors, the people who have contracted you, is this
I
information that they have, or have you kept it from them?
I have no reason to believe that they know that, and I have every intention of keeping it that way.
I appreciate your discretion.
Of course. I mentioned we're going to be getting involved in a fairly thick business arrangement, and that is definitely going to be a part of it.
Keeping her alive or keeping each other's secrets?
Both.
Very well.
Now,
You've
I do.
been quite forthcoming with me. Is there anything that you would like to ask me before you provide more information?
Oh, no. I think it's important that I provide the information up front, and then we'll follow up with the question of do you think you can handle it?
Okay.
Because we haven't even gotten to the interesting part of that contract. The legal technicality of who I was supposed to murder is not particularly interesting yet. But the interesting part is that insignia, a crossed sword and knife.
Tell me about it.
Is I think you I think you would recognize it if you saw it. This is, without a doubt, the seal of the Culinarians Guild.
On the contract?
Yes.
I'll see about that when I talk to your captors.
Now, that by itself is an interesting bit of information, but it's still not an answer to my question. I wanted to know who was hiring me.
I want to know
So,
who is hiring you also.
at the first opportunity, when I took one of these contracts in Port Maria, I stopped by the Culinarians Guild. Not on official business, but a bit of infiltration is just part of the business. I got my hands on the master ledger while lead administrator Mulholland was out of her office. And it didn't take long for me to trace the payments. I had received a very large number of payments. This was, well, at the time I had received 5. Yes, and I have since received a total of 12 payments. This was going to be my 13th for the Minra girl. But the pattern was right in front of me. All of them were marked with counselor's privilege.
What does that mean?
I had to learn the specifics on that business trip and be careful not to alert any of the counselors that I was poking around. But I believe that the number of people who have access to counselor's privilege for funds is 9. And that is the Culinarians Guild Council of 6, Guildmaster Rare himself, the lead administrator Mulholland, and the lead hunter. Unfortunately, that is as far as the information goes. I wasn't able to directly interrogate any of them. I think that would give me away a bit. But you can see why I might be hesitant to move forward with my own investigation. It's
Why
rather,
would the culinarians want to stop the transfer of goods for something that they are coordinating?
well, there's clearly a bad apple in the bunch. Forgive the pun, it was unintended. But the problem is, I don't know who. I suspect it's only one. The writing on the contract is uniform. But if I were to guess wrong, then I would have half a dozen knives sticking out of an innocent Culinarians Guild member. The ramifications of that would be dire politically and otherwise.
That makes sense. My association with the Culinarians Guild is new. I don't have a lot of information, but I can certainly look into it and
Yes.
see if I can corroborate any of this.
Well, I'm afraid that is going to be your most important task to date. Because for as invested as you are in the God's Feast, if one of those 9 is trying to sabotage the feast, I don't imagine that the God of Glorious Victories is going to be particularly forgiving when someone tells them that it was just a prank.
So tell me how you envision this working because I would be obligated to keep your secrets and keep you safe here in prison, which you agree to stay in whatever accommodations are awarded to you based on the
Well,
crimes that they can prove.
that is mostly accurate. I have every intention of escaping from prison, but I do need you to lobby to keep me off the executioner's block.
For this information, and if you can help us route out the saboteur, I'm sure that's something I can assist you with. I will not help you break out directly. You're
Oh,
on your
you
own
don't
for
need to
that.
help me break out with that. I already know how that's going to go. They can't keep enchanted manacles on me forever. But that's not particularly an issue, and I will even swear to you, my dear songbird, that my life of killing, well, contract killing, is behind me.
It makes me a little nervous that you have to preface it with contract killing and not all killing in general. However, I'm not the morality police. I'm a secret
Well,
keeper.
I heard the commotion at the docks. I can't imagine that you've never taken a life yourself.
Only when
Perhaps I
mine is
may
being threatened.
perhaps I may take up the life of a noble adventurer.
Then our paths would cross again.
Of
So,
course.
back to my question though. If I take what has been found on you when you from your captors when you were arrested so that I have a letter to compare to, how would that not leak back to you if the intention is to not let the person who placed the contract know that you've shared information? You wouldn't have shared information directly, however, you would have been caught with information that they had provided to you, and I imagine that that would not bode well for you either.
Well, the nature of these contracts is fairly straightforward. If the target is slain, then the parchment turns into shiny gold coins. And in the event that the hiree or the hirer is slain, or if the hiree declares the contract void, then the contract ceases to be. So, as long as I do not declare the contract void and I stay alive, the contract will continue. And theoretically, the hirer will have no indication that anything has gone wrong.
As long as they don't know that you've been apprehended.
Yes. And, as an extra bonus for you, as long as that contract remains valid, the hirer will see no reason to hire other attackers for your friend Primrose.
Is there any mechanism for you to transfer the contract to me?
I don't believe that is possible.
Without notifying the person who hired you?
Certainly without that.
Okay.
However, you could hold a piece of parchment for some time.
I'll do that and see about acquiring an indestructible copy of it so that we have something to work with. I would imagine it's probably not a good idea to travel with it, and if it's all right with you, I will request that they keep you apprehended under a pseudonym, which you're welcome to choose on your own if you'd like.
Very quickly, at around the time that you say the word pseudonym, there is a tremendous from the door that you entered.
Uh-oh.
Just one fierce strike. Uh, he looks at you and says, I think that is actually going to be the biggest challenge of this.
What am I walking into?
Well, simple. Those doors were not designed to keep anything in. Those doors were designed to keep the guard commander out.
Hmm. What does that mean?
That means that if she were to break through that door, she would tear my spine out of my body. And I
Oh.
rather like my spine.
Then how did I get let in? Could she not just let herself in?
She would have to ask for authority, and there's paperwork.
I
So, for
see.
the time being, I suspect that is just her venting her rage against something that may not yield.
I see.
That being said, if I were to get your endorsement, then yes, I could very easily hide away in whatever Satiri prison camp they would put me in. I may even stay long enough to be sold off into indenturement. And then at the first opportunity, I would escape. And then I certainly wouldn't need to hide away. But until then, yes, it would be very easy for me to blend in with the crowd.
So my task is to keep the guard commander away from you and get you to one of those camps.
I simply think that you lobbying for my safety would be enough. I don't know if she would be willing in her current state to wait for the execution block.
Fair enough.
So, I believe for now that covers most of the information that I have for you. But I'm free to answer any questions if there's anything that you would care to hear from your good friend. By the way, I'm sorry. Uh, we haven't even been properly introduced. Please, I am Mortavio.
It's nice to meet you, officially. Though I
Mm,
feel like we've been old friends a long time.
yes. whatever that bond was has done wonders for us.
You said that you didn't know where I was when it occurred. Would you like to?
Please?
I happen to be in. Oh, hold on, I'm going back through my notes.
Rest Nocturnal?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Got your back.
Thank you. I happened to be at the House of the Rest Nocturnal and was in a guided meditation.
Well,
I
that is fascinating.
thought I had awoke. However, I did not, but my experience was quite surreal. There was blood everywhere and not a person in sight.
Well, that lines up with how I imagine my magic looking.
And then I encountered you on the street as I was you in the moment, which I think you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think I'm going to be getting any luxury stay for some time, but perhaps I may look into that once I'm free.
So you weren't also meditating at the time.
No, at the time that you first saw through my eyes, that was the beginning of the connection for me as well. I was traveling into the streets to begin my night's work.
All right. You understand if I agree to be your secret keeper. If you go against this agreement, your life will be forfeit.
Yes, yes. No, a life free of contract killing. That is my end of the bargain, I believe.
And
And
my
of
end
course,
is to
honesty, yes.
and my end is to keep you safe and to do what I can to complete your mission of figuring out who has been hiring you and make sure they can't cause any more trouble. And you will leave
Ah,
Primrose alone.
of course. In theory, I suspect that around the time that I am free, you will have dispatched my contractor. I hope, anyway. At which point, the contract will cease to be, and I will have no reason to go after Primrose at all. Besides, I have already promised no more contract killing. But there was one more thing, my dear songbird. He stutters like he wants to say your full name, and he stops himself. The the creatures that I summoned. I hope you know that was intentional.
What do you mean?
My dear songbird, you must know that I wanted to be caught.
Then why the murder in front of us?
Because I couldn't just hand adventurers information for the most part. I suspect your party wouldn't have believed me if I walked out of the shadows and presented you with all of the information you wanted. Come now, your kind have to earn it. That's why you head off into catacombs and scary dragons' dens.
And how did you pick your victim? Or were you watching us from the shipyard?
The Gardas. Well, that was just unfortunate timing. I was just trying to find you, and, well, we sort of stumbled upon each other. And we have a bit of a history, she and I. Had a history.
Very well.
But back on point, before you return to your associates, in case I wasn't afraid of my contractor's power before, simply by the nature of their position, that power was a gift from them.
Well, that should help narrow things down, I suppose, then.
I agree, but be careful. The creatures that I was summoning should not exist, both morally and physically. If they can do that, I am genuinely concerned about what they will do to ensure that the feast does not happen.
Do you have any more of those vials?
Oh, I'm afraid I don't. There was nothing in them of interest. It was just blood. Harvested from, actually, the killing that you saw.
I see.
Right,
So
it's...
that's not a magic that you have.
Oh, no, it is. It was a, well, a spell, an ability that was given to me. It was taught to me by my contractor.
Interesting. Okay, I will add that to my list of interesting notes and try to figure out what I can share without revealing your true purpose, which is to get help in getting out of these contracts and
Real quick, I'm going to move us back to the landing page
go
because
ahead.
X showed up.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Nice hanging
Uh,
out.
no, it's like we could feel free to finish up the scene. I just
Yeah.
wanted to get him off of that page. No, he sits. Seriously, I've been sitting this way just as much as he has. He hasn't really moved from his ankles and wrists being crossed,
Mhm.
but as you seem like you are ready to leave, he very deeply bows in his seat. And he says, "My dear Songbird, I wish nothing but the best for you, and I look forward to when we meet again."
Stay safe until then.
Of course. Best of luck. And he sits back into his chair and closes his eyes, still smiling, as if he is waiting for something to happen.
I'm Can I come how do I get out? Do I just knock a couple of times? Can they hear me
Well,
outside?
they don't really give you like an instruction manual for the door, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you give a couple test knocks and you hear that mechanism starting to let you out.
Okay.
And when you arrive to uh, the commander and Gardis Harbrook.
I'm going to make sure that the door closes tightly behind me. So Holden and Glitch are no longer there. I imagine that's
Well,
probably what led
likely the
to
rest of
something
the
getting
party
weird.
as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Uh,
say.
but we're going to find out the specifics of that in just a second as we go to the main chat and talk to everybody.
I'll
And
see
apparently
you
Dex. Hey, everyone.
No.
Hey.
You yelled at me, go away.
Secrets. All right. Wow, yeah, we got everybody here. I just need to find Try and we get started.
Last seen in Dungeons and Dragons chat, posting about when troll character joins the party.
I bet Meg knows where he is.
Probably. Actually, since we're going to be doing a recap here in a second, Meg, would you mind grabbing him real fast? If that's a thing. I don't know how big your house is.
I will do that.
Pretty big.
Thank you.
It's like 10,000 square feet. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
It's a mansion.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, A, they own their own business and all, but B, they live in the middle of nowhere, and I just assume that everybody that lives in the middle of nowhere has a gigantic house.
It is. I would not call it gigantic. It is the perfect size. It's really
It's
not.
gigantic
It's like
for a tiny person.
it's like
the perfect size is like
1,600
10,000 square feet.
Yeah, we don't.
So, hi everyone else. How you doing?
Good.
Good to
I'm
hear.
in danger.
I
Oh,
mean,
no.
not in D&D, but is there some other reason you're in danger?
Yeah, there's a huge storm coming through tonight.
Cool. Well, then
We're on
we'll
like a
try and go a little fast.
we're at like a Torcon 5 here.
Boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hide in the bathtub. Don't fill it with water first, I guess. And move to the Pacific Northwest where we don't have tornadoes.
No.
It's nice here.
No.
Just saying. I hear we're getting basics soon.
Ew. I haven't talked to him in forever.
Yeah, me
What's he
neither.
up
He's
to?
on my list of things to do. I don't know, but he was saying he was going to move up here to go to University of Oregon.
That's pretty sweet, actually.
Hope everybody else is doing okay. I hope nobody else's life is in danger.
Allergies got a hold of me like last weekend.
Try's here.
Yeah,
He's
that's
on
on my
comms.
list of
He's
things
just
to do.
not in Roll20 yet.
Sounds good.
Oh, never mind. He says he's actually in both. Sav, you can come back in too.
Yep.
Roll20. You won't get yelled at again.
Sorry for occasionally having to scare people off. I just, I don't know how to change a scene. I don't actually think there's a way to change a scene for just one person,
There is.
Yeah.
and I don't know it. The only way I know to change scenes is to move the whole players tab from one scene to the next. So, I will pick your brain on that later. But now I'm really curious how that works.
It can tell you pretty quick.
Sure.
do it.
You see the names at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah.
If you grab the tab until it becomes a directional box that has, like, if you grab Holden until you see it say Run D&D, like the tab, you can then, from your drop-down menu, take Holden and drop him in on any page you want, and that will just move me to that page.
No way.
Yes, boy.
Oh, except I moved Mira to the landing page. That was... Okay, well...
I mean, you could try moving me back just so that you could test it and see what it looks like. Hey, I'm there. I'm there. I'm back where I was. Okay.
Wow, that's very cool. Okay.
You can put me back now.
Okay, friends, have fun.
Okay, bye, Dex.
You too, Dex. Feel free to watch the stream.
We haven't.
I might.
All right. Well, now that I've learned something about roll, I feel like every other time I log into Roll20, I learn something that's super cool.
Yay.
I have in my notes, which is to say I've made an icon for it, that I'm going to ask about the slingshot, but I'm going to wait until after the session or if there's a break, because I feel like we went a little longer than I expected.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
So we'll get to that. But I do want to get into things. So I'm going to start. This is my gift to you. I'm going to do the recap.
Yay!
Half because I haven't done it in a long time, and it is my obligation every once in a while, and slightly more than half because it's a really easy one.
Nice.
Over the previous few sessions, we did a lot of fighting. You fought people on a ship, and now have a ship. That was cool. And then you went to some docks to investigate a disappearance, and that turned into a murder party. I mean, honestly, that was just the biggest murder party we could have had. It was impressive and only a little scary. And we did that for a session and a half. That fight was more than a full session's worth of fighting. Because we started 2 sessions ago with, I'm going to punch him. And we got a session and a half later when he was finally skewered by Bondbreaker hurling a spear from the sky. When that fight ended, Bondbreaker suggested, hey, go help the people that are in that burning building. And he disappeared, leapt back into the sky. And not too long after that, the Satiri Guard showed up. They've been tipped off by Gardas Taffer that there were a bunch of adventurers that were poking around the Havencrest docks. And that's probably really bad. I should probably get some backup. So you got backup, and that backup was Guard Captain Christail, who immediately took charge of the situation and got guards on putting out the fire and helping the soon-to-be slaves, and even kind of chain ganging a couple of the remaining not yet slaughtered Haven Crest employees. The situation got under control. There were a few heated comments, mostly because the guard captain Christail was extremely mad, especially when somebody pointed out that Bondbreaker had been there. And ended with like some begrudging level of like, okay, yes, you did do good for what it's worth of this slaughter that I'm sitting in. She literally sat against the corpse of Boss Bush to catch her breath, and in saying, yeah, I guess you did good, she said, all right, listen, go rendezvous with Gardas Taffer. She is leading a search over there to hopefully find more survivors from this criminal enterprise. When you found her, she had been dispatched, which is the polite way of saying brutally murdered right there in the middle of the docks by a man in blood red robes, with some very fancy knives, who immediately actually sounded pretty familiar with Mira, but summoned in his defense some of those strange physics-defying blood creatures that you've been encountering here and there. The fight was short because I had to learn some hard lessons about how Fireball works. And when that fight had ended, he seemed in pretty good spirits still, insisting that he be taken in alive, and that he would spill all of his secrets. He'd say everything that he knew, and then he corrected himself, said, well, I will tell her everything I know. And he pointed to Mira. So that's where we ended the session. I am going to sort of move us along a little bit and say that, listen, you guys have fought a lot today, and even the bravest of adventurers need sleep. So considering it is late in the night at this point, this is probably a pretty good time for you guys to retreat to the Culinarians Guild Embassy for a hard-earned long rest. Feel free to get back those hit points at spell slots. And we will pick up the story the next morning when you guys receive a summons to guard Central Command. It specifically does mention the party, and it's nice seeing everybody's health fill up. And so our first scene is when you arrive at Satiri Central Command, which I'm going to move us to Satir. You are immediately greeted by Gardas Selene Harbrook, who you have previously met a few times. She was the one who was originally assisting you guys with files while you were doing some initial research. Let's see how this goes. Good enough. And she meets you like right at the front door. Thank you for coming. We have the prisoner waiting for interrogation. If you wouldn't mind following me. And she doesn't really wait. She just starts heading back into the depths of Central Command. Where she guides you, like, even the two of you who have previously worked for the guard probably have never been this deep into this complex. Like, you're probably underground at this point. You have been down so many twisting corridors that after a few minutes, you're starting to get that feeling in the back of your head of like, hey, should we like ask if she knows where we are? Like, this is starting to get a little sketch, just like I'm feeling lost. And just about the time that that sensation starts to really take hold, maybe you shared a couple furtive glances here and there, she arrives at a big old door. Big old door. This door, made of a thick wood, reinforced with metal bars, and carved deep into it are some fairly bright, glowing arcane runes. This door is clearly a big deal, and she says, I have been instructed to allow Mira in to question the suspect.
All right, I'm ready. And
Just Mira?
I'm going to put my arm on put my hand on Holden's arm and tell him and Glitch to wait here for me. Not to worry, that I will be right out.
You don't want to take Glitch?
No, I can do this on my own.
With that, Selene takes a few moments and starts opening this very heavy door. You guys get a good look. This thing is probably a good 7 or 8 inches thick. And she lets Mira into what you guys see briefly is an interrogation chamber. Not like torture and stuff, just that's a room with a couple of chairs. And if this was the modern times, probably a one-way mirror. Once Mira's in, the door closes. Selene sets it shut, starts moving a couple heavy metal latches to make sure that it stays shut. And I'm going to say, without even making Arcana checks, if you are trained in Arcana at all, you can tell that this thing locks itself pretty much as soon as it closes. When it closes, Selene actually kind of looks a bit awkward. And I admit that I didn't really plan for what to do with the rest of you while the questioning goes on. But I can have some chairs brought if you'd like to wait.
Yeah, I'm not leaving this area until Mira's back.
I second that.
Okay, I'll be right back. And she leaves and comes back a couple minutes later. And it takes her a couple trips, but she ends up bringing a set of 4 chairs for everyone. And it kind of just feels like everybody's in, the waiting room of a hospital or something, of just like sitting around trying to see what's going to happen. It's quiet for a while. Like probably a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes-ish. Like silence drags on. The thing that breaks the silence is not actually the door or anything inside. You guys can't hear a thing inside there. You could make an investigation or perception check, but I'm going to tell you right now, you fail. There are enchantments in place. You cannot hear inside. What you hear instead are some very heavy footsteps coming down whatever hall this is. Turning a corner, you see Commander Christail, flanked by a pair of other guardsmen, probably pretty high ups. And she arrives, clearly is expecting the lot of you, and just, so no word.
Just put my hands up in the air without saying anything.
I haven't heard a thing, honestly.
I was afraid of that. He seemed like the talking type. Okay. Then, Harbrook, report to me immediately as soon as anything happens. I want to know exactly what he knows so that we can figure out how quickly I can throw him to the wolves. Selene doesn't say a word, but nods. Another guard comes rushing down. This is just like a page. Like, it's like a minute or two later. Comes running down, and they pass a message on to one of the flanking guards, who whispers something into the commander's ear. And nope, I'm not in the window. Nail it. Rayun, you happen to be the person closest to the door. So I'm going to let you decide if you flinch or not. But as that guard finishes whispering, you see her eyes light up, and boy, she sure had gone like 12 whole hours without being thrown into a rage. But by the time that guard finishes talking, her fist goes whizzing right past your head and into this enchanted door. And it probably shouldn't leave a mark, but there is ever so slightly a dent in that door. And Harbrook in particular backs several feet away.
I look at it's the sergeant, right?
Who is the
The
person?
one that threw the punch.
No, that's the commander. Commander Christail.
I just stay calm. A little bit shooken, but just look at the commander and just stare at her.
After a second of heavy breathing, she looks back to the guards. Find him and put him in shackles. When she turns back to the party, excuse me. Guard business. Harbrook, keep him in manacles until I return. And when she stomps off, it sounds like she's trying to put her foot through the floor. She doesn't, because it's solid stone, but it sure is loud enough.
She seems very pissed off.
Once the commander's out of ears, Selene nods. That I've seen that before. That's a Bondbreaker sighting.
Ah, that would explain the dent behind my head.
Yeah, that shouldn't be possible.
Well, from conversation or previous conversation, it seems pretty possible.
Yeah, we made this door so that she couldn't break in.
Well, that's good. At least there's some safety.
Yeah.
Tyra's just gonna pipe up and be like, "So what's the inside scoop on what's the inside card scoop on Bondbreaker?"
Your guess is as good as mine. I've never talked to him.
Yeah, but what's the rumors going around? You know, there's got to be whispers in the guard offices.
I mean, the whisper right now is how big the pot is for when that fight happens, who wins. I think the odds are something like, what, 3-2 for Christale?
Like 3-4, 2 against, or
Yeah.
When's the last time the two of them have been face to face?
That fight hasn't happened yet, but at this rate, he's getting more brave and it's going to happen at some point.
was he originally a part of the guard at some point, or just popped out of nowhere?
No one knows. He just appeared one day. Oh, I think I do actually know the day. I was pretty new, but he arrived at a textile mill, not Mossbrook, but some level of subsidiary, and there were 4 contract holders that were strung up by their tendons. The witnesses were the indentured, who said that he barely said a word, just came into the room, took their lives, and told the indentured that they were free.
I'm just kind of spitballing here, but do you think that he could have been the one at the crime scene for one of our compatriots?
I sorry, adventurers, but I don't know which crime scene you're talking about.
I'm trying to remember the place that we went to at the beginning.
The Minra HQ.
The Minra HQ.
That makes sense. But seriously, you said that, and I was like, there have been more than one at this point.
It's the place where we took Primrose to and found the blood splatter.
She's. I don't remember hearing anything about there being anybody there. Just a bunch of bodies. But he's followed a pretty strict pattern of only attacking people that hold indenturement contracts and generally are not treating their indentured very well. I don't think any of that was in the Minra incident report.
What's the story on the commander? Why does she always have such a bad temper?
Honestly, most of the time it's all right. It's just anytime anybody says anything about Bondbreaker, she explodes.
She seems pretty emotional about that whole thing.
Yeah, it's been like that pretty much since he appeared. And trust me, I'm not the one that's going to put my neck out to get more information on what's causing her to go off like that. If you want to ask, I would love to hear more, but I'm not going to do it. I like my job.
I mean, from a previous conversation that we've come across, like she's like tired of trying to clean up after him and just wants him in custody. At least that's what she told us anyway.
Well, that lines up with the Fury. I wish I could help more, but I'm doing my best to keep my nose clean and out of that particular trouble.
How long
I
has
mean,
the commander been with the guard, anyways?
Foob, I'm going to very quickly spoil that I am furiously getting to that document that I wrote to make sure that my notes are that I don't say something that doesn't line up with what I've written.
That's fair.
This is not like I've forgotten everything. It's just I don't want to say the wrong stuff.
I guess I could also pull up that note.
Yep. But she answers says, I don't know. I think almost as long as I've been alive. And I think she enlisted just as a guardswoman and rose the ranks by, well, by being pretty ruthless, but by getting the job done. Both the day and the night really respect the work that she's done, and honestly, I do too. For her temper, she's been really efficient, and I think crime all around is down pretty fierce because of it. Prisons are getting a little full, but well, they should stop committing crimes. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to gossip or anything. Just she kind of comes in, stirs up a storm, and then blows the storm away. So,
well, there's really nothing else to do until we're done interrogating in there.
This seems like a good opportunity for through that sound impervious door, you hear a set of 3 knocks. And Selene immediately starts manipulating the runes and iron latches. You hear mechanisms within the door starting to liven up. And it opens after a couple seconds, and Mira walks out. The prisoner is exactly where he was before. And for better or worse, Mira looks exactly the way she did when she walked in.
Did you have any trouble out here? Heard loud noise against the door.
Well, if you look here, and points to like the fist-shaped indent.
It was the sound of secrets being kept from friends.
Yep.
Secrets, yes.
Friends, yes, in quotation marks.
Selene, would it be possible to see the items that were collected from the prisoner when he was arrested?
I can go get them. And I'll bring you a chair. Give me just a minute.
Thank you.
And yeah, she bounds down down the hallway.
We have a lot to discuss, but this is not the place to do it. We need to look through his belongings, and I promise I will explain more once we get to a better area to discuss it.
Selene comes back. It was a quick run. Like, she was running through the halls. And she comes back with a small linen bundle tied up with some twine. This is everything he had on him. Mostly excess clothes. The cloak and knives are magical, we can tell, so we decided to keep those, make sure he didn't take the cloak in with him, for example. And a few personal belongings. Nothing particularly special, but feel free to take a look. It's all yours.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is she staying with us?
Well, she asks, is there anything else I can do for you, or are you going to need the suspect anymore?
No, I believe that we're done for now. I would like to know what the next steps are for him. What is the plan?
Well, I think that depends on who finds him next. I was probably going to keep him in here for a while until I heard what the guard commander would like me to do.
I have reason to believe that he may be in some danger and other lives may be in danger if it's discovered that he has been detained. So I guess we need to speak to her now.
Oh. Okay. Um. Uh. Well, she's not in a really good mood right now. What if I just keep him in here in the cell for a while?
As long as no one has access to him unless they've met with us first. It's extremely important.
I am the only one that can open this door until I cede that authority to someone else. So as long as he's in here, he's safe. I should make sure he has food, though.
Please do. Don't make him too comfortable, though.
Right. Okay. I will wait for your return then.
If you need anything, we will be at the Culinarians Guild.
Got it. Keep in touch. I think the guard or the captain may get angry enough to get through that door soon. And she kind of glances over at that notch in the door.
Is she going to leave us with the belongings? Can we take them with us?
Yeah, she did.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to carry the linen bundle and I guess we'll follow her out unless...
Yeah, she very happily leads you out because it's anything to do that isn't going to see the commander. And look, this isn't America. They're probably just gonna throw all that stuff away if you didn't want it. So, yeah. After a good 5 or so minutes of navigating the labyrinth, she leads you back to the front door and gives you a short wave as you exit. And it sounds like you're headed somewhere?
I think it's best to return to the Culinarians Guild embassy where our rooms are to check on Kozu and Primrose and try to find some privacy to chat.
Any party objections?
Nope.
Works for me. And I'm going to scoot this token over. Welcome back to the Culinarians Guild.
Woo!
It's bumping. We're pushing against noon here, which is lunchtime, and that's an important time for the Culinarians Guild, apparently. The main meeting hall is fairly lively with adventurers and Culinarians Guild employees. So that might not be the best place, but you do guys still have your own quarters. Primrose is actively taking care of Kozu, as she has been for the last day and a half or so. But you can have her in the room with you or not. That is your call, because I don't actually know what your intentions are.
No, I do not want her in the room with us. I just want to check on them to make sure that they're okay and then lead the group into the other
Yep.
private room that we have.
You arrive as she is reading him stories of adventurers from the realm.
Nice.
And so he gives you a brief rundown of what they've been listening to, and then she gets back to it.
Okay.
So now I could put you even deeper into one of your guys' private quarters. You have individual rooms. That's neat.
Yay! As soon as we get in there, I'm going to spread all of the contents of the small linen bundle out.
Let me go over my notes real fast, because I do actually have an idea of what's in there. As mentioned, the most impressive thing is a very ornate blood red robe and a set of 8 knives that are all very well crafted and definitely magical of some kind. Outside that, a couple empty glass vials and a couple. Why is this suddenly not in dark mode? And a few personal effects. 3 very impressive gold coins, and actually no, those have been deposited. So just a small pouch of regular gold coins, not the impressive ones. And yeah, a small parchment tube. There's a word for that.
That is what I'm looking for. I'm gonna
Roll
open
cash.
it
We'll
up
go with that.
and look at the parchment.
Yep. Inside there is a single sheet of parchment, and I'm assuming that you show this to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's probably only about 4 by 6, so not a full sheet of paper sized. On it, it has a silhouette of a man that you spoke to a decent long time ago. Yeah, no roll necessary. This was only a couple weeks ago, and you've been dealing with his family for a while. Primrose's father. There is a brief description of his location. You see a mention of Mirror Bay. Written at the bottom of it, you see that the contract price is 3 coins of favor, and it is signed with an insignia of a crossed sword and chef's knife.
I have unfortunate news. Our friend is obviously a contract killer, which I think you've probably inferred. And his target happens to be the head of Minra Shipping. Now, this contract will disappear if he cancels it or if the job is complete and it will turn into the money. So our first priority is to create a duplicate of this to the very best of our ability. And unfortunately, his target is Primrose.
I'm sorry, I think I'm confused. Whose target is Primrose?
The
Our
man in the
murderous
crimson room.
friend.
But he's in jail.
He is. And as long as he stays there safely, no one else will come looking for her. Do you see our problem?
Yeah.
I mean, not really. He stays in jail and Primrose is safe, or he gets out and we kill him.
But if she continues to move about freely, the person that hired him may just think that he's not moving quick enough and choose to take other actions. Right now we have the upper hand. It might be beneficial for us to take a look into who originally hired him. Do you recognize this insignia?
I mean, is it the Culinarians Guild?
Yeah, very clearly.
Okay, then yeah. I know this one.
I mean, like, you guys all have associates pins that have this insignia on it.
So somebody from the Culinarians Guild wanted Primrose dead?
That is how it appears.
And you're certain this guy wasn't lying and fabricated this just to create in you an ally who would advocate for him?
I have no reason to believe otherwise. I think that it is something that we need to look into. We know that there have been murders for shipping areas. It is possible that someone is working from the inside to prevent the feast from taking place.
But why would someone within the Culinarians Guild want to do that?
I don't know. That's why I think it's worth looking into.
Maybe they're a part of a cult that wants to bring about the end.
Could have had something to do with the destruction of Nazma to begin with.
Yeah, causing chaos amongst allies. A wolf in sheep's clothing, I think, is the term.
Is there a world where we just confront the Culinarians Guild with this new information? And make them explain themselves to us?
Well, none of us are official members. We were all brought in from the outside. I don't really know who we can trust to be able to safely ask these questions.
I mean, maybe Administrator Racklin?
So, you'll have to forgive me because this is a long time ago, and
Mhm.
I'm not entirely sure. Was it Guildmaster Rare who initially, hired us anonymously through Codename?
No, we never actually got an identification on who did that. I hinted at it super strong, but we never actually got that confirmation.
Okay. In my mind, that's who it was, and I guess I never dug deeper. Yeah, then I don't know. I do know that I'm no one's puppet. So we can, start with the Culinarians Guild here, or we can go back to Ranmar Castaniron and see what he knows, or we just... I don't entirely hate the idea of protecting her, or at least telling Primrose what's maybe her best course of action isn't hanging out with us. Maybe she'd be more secure returning home, and if she knows she's got a target. Also, should we loop in the city guard and let them know that the Culinarians Guild is hiring assassins to murder little girls?
So it's possible that they don't know that she is the lead. And that they still believe that it's her father. My only concern with involving more people is if we lose this contract right now, this is the only thing connecting us to the possible person who placed it.
Well, then, spark of genius. Why don't we kill Primrose and collect on the contract? You can't see me doing air quotes, but...
I don't think that's an option.
Well, I mean, we don't actually kill her, but I'm saying let's
Fake her death.
We've all been hired from disparate parts of the world. We all have different backgrounds, some more or less nefarious than others. We've certainly shown we are capable of killing people if, push came to shove. The fight against the weird robed dude that is confessing all of this information, I think, was public enough. We probably can't hide that, but we could easily spin that we found this contract on him, decided we could use the extra cash, fake Primrose's death, and try to collect on the bounty. Then we see who comes to pay us. Kick that guy's ass.
It's my understanding that the way it works is once the contract has been fulfilled, the contract is just replaced with the payment. Not that you will have to meet with somebody to receive it.
It's like magic.
It is.
We should have someone examine it, identify it, and see if there's a way we can use a divination spell to locate the creator.
I like that plan.
As luck would turn out, we have magic people here. Hopefully.
I mean, probably, sure, yeah.
I've talked a lot. What do you all think? I don't really have any other better idea.
Is the contract by like blood or?
It's ink.
Well, I meant like.
How do we confirm it's been fulfilled?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, I got you.
That I don't know. We'd have to go back and ask him.
I think it might be in our best interest to loop in Commander Christail on this.
We will need her to not kill her prisoner. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine paying penance for his sins and understands that he needs to be imprisoned.
How noble of him.
But it's in all of our best interest if that's kept as quiet as possible while we try to figure out what's going on.
I agree with that assessment. Thinking of the commander and how loud she can be. Might not be wise to share or indulge in talking with her in this way.
I think our best bet here is to figure out if we can reverse engineer this contract and see who placed it.
Before we do anything to it, in case it gets damaged, we need to create a copy of it.
I think that's smart as well. But as a side note, once we figure out who, or if we figure out who placed it, I'm not opposed to faking her death and claiming the reward before we capture them. a little extra gold in our pockets never hurt anyone else.
Let's see if that's possible. What skill
Okay.
will we have to roll for trying to, like, sketch a copy of this?
Let's see. You guys know by now. I don't know what any of the skills are in this game. I really should.
Well,
You
let's
asked-
test it.
Takes acrobatics.
You asked the worst question because I'm never gonna get this skill tree right. Let me whip up someone's character sheet.
I have a forgery kit.
Well, it's probably going to be sleight of hand forgery, or sleight of hand and probably advantage with the kit or some bonus. I don't know if they have a specific thing in the book.
I do have sleight of hand. For the forgery, what would I roll it with as the attribute? Charisma? Dexterity?
I think it'd probably be Dex.
Because you're swiftly
10?
riding it, I guess.
Oof. Oh yeah, but the forgery kit comes with a bonus.
403.
Look, it's enough. Look, first off, the picture does not do Mr. Minra justice. But you weren't even trying there. You also don't try super hard with the Culinarian's Guild insignia because you know what that looks like. Presumably, what you're trying to do is copy the handwriting, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Just a quick and dirty so that if we get any samples that we can compare it to. And the specifics, the language, the...
Language is super
Terms,
easy. That's
yeah.
not a problem. The handwriting is fine. I'm gonna say this would not pass as a duplicate, but it's probably fine enough that you guys will be able to remember what this looks like. This is sort of a taking 10 moment of you guys have a few minutes to do this really slowly and carefully.
All right, now you can run tests on it.
Before we do that, can I also use the magical tinkering trait from Artificer to take a picture of the contract? One of the abilities that the Tinkerer can produce is a static visual image on any object's surface that can contain a picture and up to 25 words of text, lines, or shapes.
Sure. I like the image of Mira spending several minutes hunched over this, doing her best, and then has a stick figure drawing of Mr. Minra in there, and you're just like, what? All right, fine. I'm going to whip out my Sheikah slate,
Yeah.
and we're good. All right, yeah. So now you can hold over your heads a floating, spinning forgery. But yeah, that seems fine. Somebody should probably mark that you have a copy of that, because I will forget. And then, by all means, let me know what you guys are thinking of doing.
Well, now that we have a photographic copy of it, we should figure out how it works, I suppose.
Tyrus, do you trust the commander? You wanted to loop her in on keeping him safe while we try to identify keeping him safe and under wraps while we try to identify who has hired him to commit these murders?
I think her allegiance to the law is our best bet here, and she might even be able to help us with some resources to figure out who placed this bounty. Especially if a small child's at risk here. I don't think she would risk her life just to kill him.
Has she interrogated him at all, or was I the only person that he talked to?
You were the only one.
Okay.
Selene actually made that, mentioned that to you on your way in.
Okay. I don't want to give her a lot of details, and I'm not sure that it's a good idea to let anyone else know that someone inside the Culinarian Guild might be putting these contracts out. I feel like it's too early.
I
We
feel like we
don't
could admit that
know
information.
enough. Yeah, as long as that's okay. I could talk to him in advance and see if he would offer up. I don't have proof for any other killing, so it would be what he was willing to extend to her as a courtesy and admit to. But if he chooses not to admit to any of those murders, then the only one that they have him on is this most recent one, which we witnessed. I don't know how we get her to not take her personal vendetta out against him while we're trying to figure this out.
I'm sorry, that laughing was not at all related to you guys. I looked for a scrap piece of paper, and the scrap piece of paper I had written on it, "I've never liked stairs. They're always up to something." That's just sort of notes I leave for
Nice.
myself.
But I do like stairs because they're down for anything as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so Morthos, do you have any kind of like detect magic abilities? Like can we suss out the magical properties within the group, or do we have to get an outside source?
I can cast detect and identify.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that, I don't believe.
If we spend a little while, I would prefer to cast them as rituals so as to not burn the spell slots.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got all the time in the world.
Starting with detect magic.
If you wouldn't mind linking the spells, just to make sure that I give you the right amount of info. Well, that's straightforward enough. The detect magic. Hey, guess what? That bundle had a lot of magical things in it. The cloak was magic. The daggers were magic. The tube, not magic, but the paper that used to be in it, definitely magic. The vials had a little bit of lingering magic on them. So, you cast that and immediately everything starts glowing for you pretty bright. I'm very quickly trying to remember what all of the schools of magic are. Because, that's not necessarily on the pop quiz.
It's true, there are 8 of them.
There are 8 of them. And I'm just trying to decide. Here's the thing. If I'm being honest, like 5 of these, I very clearly understand what they are. Conjuration, got it. Necromancy, dope. What the fudge is abjuration?
Conjuration, evocation, divination, illusion. I think that's 7 only.
I mean, I googled it, but
And if you're a bard, gyration.
yeah. Let's not be an image search. I'm going to very quickly look at this primer and see if it tells me what I'm looking for. But the answer is, honestly, it is the spell is related to transferences of information, so it is divination.
Okay. The guard, or I guess the guard captain and her subordinate let us keep magic items from this guy's arrest. I mean, might as well identify those while we're at it.
Okay. Let me see if I can figure out a good way to share those with you. Because I don't have icons for them. Can I? Nope. Also, I can't figure out why everything's in light mode. That's confusing. Gonna ignore that one. Well, for starters, as mentioned, the cloak is, or the cloak and knives are all magic. It looks like the, boy, I'm pushing all of my knowledge here of D&D magic systems. There is some pretty fierce transmutation magic on the daggers. The spell there, enchantment. Now we're going with transmutation. The spell there gives them the ability, or gives the wielder the ability to control them remotely, like at range. And the cloak looks like it has a. Well, that explains why nobody ever uses abjuration. The cloak looks like it has enchantments to bestow curses, and may actually be a weapon. It's hard to tell.
Does identify reveal its function?
It does, and that's where you get that it has the ability to bestow curses. That being said, they both require attunement and are currently properly attuned to their owner.
So we'd have to have Morthos wear both of them for an hour.
Yep.
Morthos, the curse bringer.
No, I'm just saying, like, if one of us had to have a cloak of curses.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy with the cursed arm. Because as we all know, curses cancel each other out.
I've heard worse ideas.
And like daggers of throwing and returning essentially don't seem like an awful idea for you to keep.
Very true.
Or I guess big. You get that roguey sneak attack on throwing weapons.
Yeah. Also, I just realized one of my spells as a paladin is an abjuration spell.
Well, they can't all be winners.
Well, it gives me some bonus for my AC.
I mean,
But your AC is already
admitting
so
that
high.
that was very helpful in that last fight, but also I'm just not impressed with abjuration as a concept. So, like, if you give me abjuration or evocation where I'm throwing fireballs, I know which one I'm gonna pick every time.
Abjuration also is all the counter spells. Yeah.
Yep.
Dispels.
Oh, okay, that's
So,
actually
like,
kind of cool.
Yeah. It's both shielding and dispelling, which is pretty cool.
All right, maybe I'll give that some credit.
We've got magic daggers, essentially, I'm guessing, of throwing and returning. We've got the cloak. We can deal with that stuff later if anybody's got interest in them. What does identify tell me about the contract?
First off, yes, I will make proper tabs so that we can hand those items out later. I just hadn't done that yet. When you cast it on the scroll, on the parchment, what you see is two pieces of parchment, one being written on and the ink appearing on both of them. And then, I mean, like, you kind of magically look into the code of this piece of parchment a little bit, you hit F11 and you see what the website
Nice.
is running with. And
Control
it
F,
looks
Control
like-
F.
yeah, there are no Easter eggs, but it does show like it is enchanted that when the scribe target perishes, it will replace itself with the payment cost.
That's a pretty powerful teleportation spell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not my school of magic, everybody, but I think something that potent almost certainly could be tracked via a divination spell, especially if we had the original contract as something material they could focus on. We would have to find, a wizard or sorcerer skilled in divination, but that in a city this large shouldn't be impossible.
Yeah, we can just go to the magic district.
Yeah.
Do you want to see if we can get a lead from the guard, the captain, and see if there's someone that she trusts? Instead of just
of-
waving this piece of parchment around.
Out of all the people that we could trust, I think our best bet is to trust her.
Okay. Should we all go back to the guard? Or should we perhaps see if she will meet us here? No, we don't want to meet here.
I think we should just go meet her at her office.
All right.
And did your assassin friend give us any indication how many other people might have received a similar contract?
No, it's my understanding that he's the only one who has. However, that will not remain the case if word of his capture gets to the wrong ears.
So we've got less than a day. Because I can't imagine they're not booking him.
Perhaps we can talk her into booking him under a different name.
Just seems like a pretty straight shooter, but you can ask. You are good at convincing people.
Let's give it a try. Let's
Should
go.
we leave someone here with Primrose in case there is another assassin? Or maybe 2 people? I don't know. Or should we bring her with us?
If he figured out that that's not an awful idea. If he figured out that she was the target and not her father, it's possible that someone else will also, if they start looking into the company. But right now the company is kind of paused, right? It's not technically working, so dead or alive, it would appear that the contract killer's job has been successful because the company isn't currently active since she's hanging out with Kozu.
Yeah, it turns out all the staff being dead
Yeah.
really halts operations.
It is possible that she's safe at this point, especially since she was introduced as Primrose and she's disguised here, that they wouldn't know who she is.
I'm just worried that it's a Culinarians Guild charter
And yeah.
and she's in the Culinarians Guild.
I mean, I can stay back if that's the case. I
I
don't
mean,
mind.
they're gonna need your. If they get into a fight, they're gonna need your
Yeah, I was gonna say,
tankiness. So like,
there's
I can
only,
I can stay back.
There's only 2 of us probably that could stay back and defend Primrose from an assassin squad, but I think that also decreases the possibility of the other team being successful in a scrap.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes sense to just bring her with us, even out in the open. I'd rather have in the open fight with the 5 of us instead of a close quarters fight with just 2 of us.
Maybe we should just attune her to a cursed cloak and just wrap her up and so no one sees her face.
We could disguise her.
Well, we didn't. I'm looking back at my notes. We didn't tell Racklin. She's already disguised, and we didn't tell him about the rest of our adventures. So, right now, no one from the Culinarians Guild should know. that she hired us, that we escorted her, and that she's still in our care. The only connection to us right now that there is with the captain. The captain knows because we were at the scene of the crime, and we informed her that we have.
Do you think a trip to see the guard captain and then back to safety again could be conducted in less than an hour?
Are you gonna leave Glitch?
No, I've got a magical solution. I can
Oh.
make her invisible.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, we could
that's
try
probably
it.
smart. We should do that.
Let's do it.
Change the curse cloak to a cloak of invisibility.
I like it.
Mira disguising people historically hasn't gone well, so
Hey, I'm willing to try it again. Let's do it.
And like, as long
I
as
mean,
don't
Morthos is really good at
too
it.
hard, I should be able to keep the concentration up for an hour.
I use Dex,
I don't-
right? Hey, look at
here's the
that.
thing.
That is
Boom.
way better.
You do a great job of rifling through your disguise kit, but you may be willing to give it another shot, but Primrose is not. If you put the, hey, one's gonna give you Mira's disguise kit, one's gonna be invisibility. She takes invisibility without even hesitating.
But we didn't list out the side effects yet.
Honestly, the side effects of the disguise kit might be worse. But she is like presumably you are pitching this to her, yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
She is not particularly happy about the idea of meeting the person who is supposed to kill her and did kill many of her soon-to-be employees. But, weighing her options, not really a lot of good ones. So she closes up the book, leaves a small bookmark there, gives Kozu a scratch on the head. If this is what we have to do, then I guess it's better than being a sitting target.
Yep, a moving invisible target is harder to hit.
I've never been invisible before. That'll be nice. Lead the way.
Well, stay close.
Wait to the last possible second in the room, and then I'll don her one looks like kind of like a screen mesh that would be used to cover like a modern fireplace. And once it's over her and I activate the button, it just shimmers with electricity for a second and she disappears, blending into the surroundings.
All right.
Camouflage engaged.
Nice.
And is she coming with us?
And
Mhm.
who's holding Kozu?
Are we sure that's a good idea to bring enchanted person into the headquarters?
She could ride on Glitch, and that way no one
I
will
mean-
accidentally step on her.
Glitch is magical and he's been all up in that business and nothing bad has happened.
No, he's got
I
a
just
point.
figured they might have like detect magic or something like that going on in there.
Well, but we're
Something
all
might
carrying
break
magic
it.
items. We're all...
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if they're like, hey, detect magic, and there's like all of us, and there's like a shimmer behind us, they'll probably be like, what is that behind us? So I think her writing glitch is a good idea. At least,
I mean, I'm happy to just stay here with her if that's a better plan.
It's fine. She can ride Glitch.
I might be thinking too much into this. I just being the HQ for the guard, I assume they would have some type of like enchantments in place or something that would prevent them from people sneaking in and like breaking people out.
No, you're probably right. Better safe than sorry.
I guess as former guard members, do we know of anything like that?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay.
There's so much magical detection going on there, but also you would both know that there is, some amount of witness protection level protocol as well.
Gotcha.
All right. To the guard.
So, yeah, I think if she's riding glitch, I think that'll like at least somewhat disguise her because glitch is magical.
He's always
Okay.
glitching.
All right, back to command. I love that I didn't even have a token for Central Command when we started the Satir section, and now it is maybe the place that we've been to the most. You find yourself back in Central Command, and Selene actually gets summoned pretty quickly. Like at this point, the front lobby, it's a pretty busy place. There's a lot of people coming and going with non-murder related guard problems, but there are a couple guards. I mean, all the way from back to the first time, Tyrus, that you walked in, that have started to recognize you and recognize that whatever's going on, you have business with the guard commander. They don't want any part of that. So, I mean, you walk in and pretty quickly, Selene gets summoned back. When she sees you all, she lights up a little bit. Glad to see you. You're back very quickly. Did you find something?
We need to talk to the guard captain.
Well, that's kind of the opposite of what I was hoping for, but I will lead the way. Okay. Come with me. As you pass through your first door, Glitch and Primrose both end up getting halted. Like, Glitch looks like he is being yanked by a leash. And Selene, there's... are you lot carrying anything unusual?
I mean, everything we carry is a bit unusual, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Okay. Harrow, she just kind of like looks frustratingly at one of the gentlemen who, Tyrus, you have actually talked to, sitting behind the desk. And Harrow shrugs. Hey, I don't know. Whatever, I'll dispel it real quick. Hold on. And
before he can ask him maybe not to, I just replaced his power battery. I'm sure that's what you're detecting. But if you dispel it, I'll have to rebuild it from scratch. It'll take a whole afternoon. I'm sure the guard captain doesn't want us wasting our time doing that.
Well, all right. I was just, I was going to dispel the screen to let him in, but if you think that's dangerous, then maybe the good boy can, hey, you can sit here. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. You know best.
He doesn't really know what to do, but he kind of like pats his leg, like he is summoning a dog. He even adds like,
boy.
Okay, you want some pets? Do you like pets? He like he's sorry, I'm not a magical animal person. Selene shakes her head and he just, you know what? He just runs his finger along the desk. He says, "No, I'm just go in. I'm just gonna dispel the barrier. You're fine."
Excellent, thank you.
And yeah, at that point, no problem getting through. So Selene is like, she looks like she's marching to the gallows. She's not even trying to hide it. Like, this is not a time for guard bravery. But she leads you up a few flights of stairs to a fairly large office that is not terribly far away from a gym, sparring ring. We'll go with a sparring ring. That was the word I was looking for. When she gets to the ornate doors of the office, she knocks a couple times. And after an indistinct voice shouts out from the door, she announces, "It's Gardis Hardbrook. Hardbrook reporting with the Minra adventurers." You guys hear, within a couple seconds, some pretty loud stomping, and the doors open mercifully inward, and Christale, I really should just have a token of her by now, stands looking at the lot of you and says, "Well, get in here. Harbrook, you two, just in case." I mean, this is a fairly ornate office, and most of the office is covered with dust. It looks like she doesn't interact with most of that. Like, there are tapestries and shelving that have bottles and books and things. Like, this looks like a nice office, and there's a very polished sword, and everything else looks like it has virtually fallen to disarray. It has a lot of open light, though. I mean, giant bay windows. Just a pretty nice office. I would not mind having this. She sits down, and Selene arranges some chairs for you. And the commander says, "From what I can tell, in the couple days since we've met, you're the kind of adventurer that I need to keep an eye on. So you have an open ear. What can I do for you?"
Get your face.
I'm gonna look at Tyrus and see if he plans to speak or if he wants me to start.
I'm gonna look around and see if we want to keep the other guard in there. If we just want to keep it at Christelle only. Kind of mutter us and say, "What do we want to do here?" What do you guys think?
I think that 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead.
I'm
I guess
all
we'll
about
politely
murder, so I'm in.
ask if the other guards woman, whose name I can't remember now, can leave.
Token's right there.
Gardis Harbrook.
I've said her name like 10 times today.
I know
Selene.
I'm real bad with names.
Man.
Ryan's
Tell
with
Celery
felony.
to take a hike.
So she has just finished putting all the chairs down for everybody, and somehow manages to both look heartbroken that she's being kicked out and relieved that she's going to live to see sunset.
Yeah, there might be door punching. You don't want to be any part of this.
Yeah.
So not really knowing how to take it, she kind of looks conflicted as she, "Whatever you say, I'll be outside," and she's gone. Door
Nice.
open, door closed, bam. Christale, "Okay, now you have just my ear, but I hope it's important."
I'm gonna look at Mira and be like, "Mira, do you want to give the details?"
I'm going to hold out the parchment and say Gardis Harbrook allowed us to inspect the prisoners' items, and we found this among them. This gives us reason to believe that he may be the person that you're looking for the Minra shipping attacks, and we saw him murder the other person. So I I would like to seek your assistance in trying to figure out who has hired him to perform this act. And in order to do so, we need that person to not know that his hitman has been snatched up by the police. I don't really know how else to say it, so I'm just going to kind of be blunt with her because I feel like that's
Huh.
probably the best way to do that.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's start off by saying I don't know how you managed to crack open that tube. Harbrook and half a dozen other guards tried to pry that thing open. So you must have some crazy strength or some magic that we couldn't think of. But I'm not going to question that one. And I'm also not going to question why you were given all of the detainees' personal effects. But here we are.
Because you gave them to us.
Selene did.
Yep. I'm going to point to the Culinarians Guild emblem on the parchment. We previous to being hired specifically to help them with the upcoming feast, don't have a connection with the Culinarians Guild. So
I'm sorry, say that again. My computer kind of did a thing.
we have no loyalty to the Culinarians Guild. At this point, our only concern is the truth. So if it is possible that someone within the Culinarians Guild has put this hit out, and if these hits are related to the other events that you've been investigating, it's in all of our best interest to figure out who that person is. But because we don't know the Culinarians Guild that well, we'll need some time to do some digging, and any input that you have or any resources that you have that might help would be greatly appreciated.
She takes the parchment, and the second she touches it, sets it down like almost immediately and says, "Oh wow, I've been trying to get my hands on one of these for a very long time. Turns out they're awfully transitory. Okay, I'm gonna call in a diviner to take a look at this, and let's see if we can't track down where it's coming from." As far as the Culinarians Guild, I'm not doing anything that could put the city in danger. Because my loyalty is to the day and the night, and if we accidentally uncover a war between Porta Maria and Styr, it is not going to be because of the guard.
Fair enough.
That being said, we'll see what the diviner has to say, and maybe they can point you in the direction of who you're trying to track down.
We appreciate that. And the diviner is someone that you trust.
I've used her services several times. Hold on. Harbrook! And Harbrook pokes her head back in. Get me the divine hand. Yes, ma'am. And as the door closes, Commander says, "What else? What else can I do for you, adventurers?"
Would you agree to process the prisoner I'm not saying give him any special treatment, but would you agree to process him confidentially or under a pseudonym for now while we work on this? It's my understanding that as soon as word gets back to those that hired him, they could just send out more hitmen and cancel this contract.
That is a lot.
I'm not asking you to release him. I'm just asking you to keep him alive and in a deep, dark hole under the name Dick Trickle.
Oh, you are pushing my buttons. Okay. If you get him to give me a confession for every killing he has done in my city, I will agree.
Will you keep those killings confidential until after we've gotten to the bottom of this? Because those all could have been initiated by this same person.
Yes, of course. They will be relegated to an active investigation.
Will it be against your uncontrolled friend who we encountered in the shipyard?
Well, that's good. He could be our perfect scapegoat.
Is there anything else I can do for you, adventurers?
Oh no, I pissed her off. No, you've been of great help. Thank you so much for your time.
Get me my confessions, and I will have the divine hand here.
If it's all the same to you, we'll wait.
Go ahead and give me a quick insight check. You can roll this one yourself. All right, Mira, at the very least, your danger sense is picking up. Her grasp on the desk is starting to imprint.
Okay. We'll go see about getting that information, and you'll send for us, but we'll stay around the Central Command.
She'll be here soon.
Thank you.
Get me my confession.
I'm gonna gesture to the team that we exit.
For the greater good.
Yep.
For the greater good, and to get away from that. It's not a huge lift to get access to Selene and get back to the door. Mira, I'm going to pull you into a side channel for just a minute so that we can have a very quick conversation about that.
Okay.
And I even know how to do that properly now. Oh, okay, that's going to be a little tricky. I got to get used to it first. Like this. And I'll meet you there.
Hello.
Hi.
It's
Now
really
I know how to
hard
move
to know
individual
what
people.
I
That's
can
amazing.
and can't say, so I'm sticking with what I have proof to back up. To have gotten there on my own.
Yeah. Selene lets you in, and it turns out he has not moved at all. Mortavio does turn his head because this is maybe the first thing that's happened since you left. He says, as the door closes, Songbird, so good to see you. Back sooner than I expected.
with a big ask.
Please?
I'm trying to guarantee your safety,
Hmm.
and I have it from the captain that she will keep you safe in exchange for a confession to all of the killings that you've done within Satir walls.
Of course. You have it. Uh, to my knowledge, for Satir, you have my confession for the Sheki incident, the bleeding of Natmoon, the death of Seth, the Minra massacre, and the deaths of Rev Tyker, Sorotail, Kessia Mela, and Casey Sell.
My goodness.
It's been a busy month.
A month. Okay. Would you be willing to share that information directly with the captain?
If you have a sheet of parchment, I will write them all down.
Do I have my bag with me? Because I
Yeah, sure.
probably do in my supplies.
Yeah. I
Awesome.
mean, you don't have probably don't have weapons on you, but yeah, you have parchment, sure.
Okay.
And he still manacled and kind of writing a little inelegantly on his leg. He writes down, literally just lists off all of the things I just said, and signs it with sincerely confessing Mortavio.
Yes. In that regard, I have requested that she book you under a different name that is likely going to get credit for these acts so that your benefactor doesn't know where you are and what you've
Wonderful.
been up to.
Perfect. I knew you could do it, Songbird. Well,
These are strange times we find ourselves in.
yes, well, I don't suspect they're going to get less strange anytime soon.
Afraid not. I'll come back when I have more news.
Of course. He hands you the parchment, goes back to his peaceful sitting position, says, I look forward to seeing you again, Songbird.
And so you shall. I'll go knock on the door and
Yep.
meet you back up top.
And swap channels. All right. It's not actually that long. It's only a couple minutes, and you hear the same 3 taps as before, where Mira has the door open for her, and now she's carrying a piece of parchment in her hand.
What's that?
What?
He's been busy, and I'm just going to roll my eyes and hand it to Holden.
Yeah. Holden, yeah, this is just a quick glance of this. This is just a list of killings with a variety of interesting names. And at the bottom is signed, sincerely confessing Mortavio.
I got his confession.
And
Now
by the
we
way, I can
wait
read
for
you.
our summon.
So, like, don't we actually want this confession to literally not exist right now?
That's what she was requesting.
We should make a copy of it.
Let's make a copy of it. I don't know that I want to relinquish it. He did say that he would share the information freely with her. I don't want to relinquish it because we asked that there not be anything in writing with his name on it. Nothing for the files, anyway.
If you want me to make a copy of it, that's my last tinker. That will be my 4th tinkered item. I can only have 4 active at a time.
At a time, okay.
My bag of holding, my weapon, and then these 2 essentially photocopies. I'm happy to do it, just telling you that, making sure you understood this is not a thing I can do like for free always.
I don't think it's actually pertinent that we have a copy of it. I think it's probably better that we only have.
We could just not relinquish it
Like,
until.
I'm more concerned that it exists than having copies of it.
Right.
Okay.
I guess if we have to relinquish it, you could just tear off the signature part of it before you hand it over.
Sure.
So it's the list of confessed
We
crimes without a
We
name
can feed
associated.
we can feed it to my arm.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, my arm ate it.
You can fold it.
I mean-
fold it back with his signature and then take the picture.
Mhm.
Does Glitch's mouth count as like a paper shredder?
I'm sure he's got that functionality. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so does yours.
Alternatively, can he eat it and it not get shredded and it just kind of sits inside like a
Yeah, I don't
Safe.
think he has like a digestive system, so
Yeah, that would probably just end up getting shredded,
dang?
ground up in the machine.
no robo nuggets.
He doesn't have like a secret compartment we can just stash it in.
It's my
Oh.
bag of holding.
Maybe up his butt.
Yeah, we don't talk about the secret compartment.
Some may call that a prison wallet.
We don't talk about the dog's prison wallet either.
Can hear you rummaging around back there.
Cat? I also don't
Is
know.
that where your bag of holding is? Is his prison wallet?
Oh god.
Oh my god. No.
Quick, have the captain summon us.
Yeah, that's Selene, who has already been handling the door, dashes away, probably before the prison wallet thing, and comes back a couple minutes later with a fairly old woman draped in robes and with bandages all up and down her arms. And Adventurers, if you wouldn't mind joining me, this is the Divine Hand, and the captain, the commander, will want to speak with us.
I'll lead the way.
Quick trip up 4 flights of stairs. That's not getting old. And you find yourself back in the commander's office. She's... All right, well, that was easy. First things first, you get a confession.
Mira's looking at Holden.
What would be the harm in me just verbally communicating that you could say a verbal confession?
Oh, sure.
That you certainly can give her the list of names and everything else, and he promised to, like, commit that to paper once we were done.
Yes, I got the confession. To more than I bargained for sure.
Were there any names that we knew on the list?
There were a
Would-
lot of names. I'd have to go through all of my notes.
Was Barry McCockiner in there?
No, but there are some funny names.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Um,
Seth needed to fucking die, though. Let's just be real here.
I like how it says Minra Massacre.
Yeah, I like how the A is capitalized as well.
Hey, listen, man, I'm typing as fast as I can.
It's better
That's
than the
important.
other 2 S's being capitalized also. The Minra Massacre is something else altogether.
Mass acre.
Oh, that's Rav Taker, not Rav Talker. I need to change the font on this thing.
That's the quick version, and the only 2 typos are massacre, and that's supposed to just be the Shecky incident. But honestly, for that much typing, I'm actually pretty proud of myself.
Mm-hmm,
Leave me alone.
Nice.
I'm going to. Yes. What was her response when I said that I got the confession?
She says, "All right, what did you get?"
The Shecky incident, the bleeding of Natmore, the Minra massacre, the death of Seth, the Rav Tiger.
So you say Seth, and she stops and immediately. I knew it. I knew it. That bastard.
Shall I continue?
Yeah,
Nope,
fucking Kaidi needs
that's what
that.
I wanted. Ugh,
Very well.
he deserved worse.
Fucking Seth.
Who, Seth?
McFarlane?
She's- all right. Good enough for me. He will be locked away in an oubliette for a while, and his name will be forgotten to time until it is deemed necessary.
Thank you. Let's get some answers.
All right. For those of you, in case you haven't met it properly, this is a good friend of mine. She goes by the Divine Hand. The woman pulls back the hood of her cloak, and she wasn't hiding like tentacles or snakes for hair or anything, but she's just really, really old. You could tell she's like using beauty product and still looks like she's in her 80s. And the woman's, well, that's not necessary, dear. But you call, the guard needs me, and I'm happy to help. What can I do for you, Commander? Commanders, take a look at this. And she just like pushes the parchment forward. The woman, well, there's quite a bit of energy in this. Give me just a moment. She unwraps her hands, and you can see all up and down the backs of her hand in particular are brilliant yellow tattoos. They start glowing particularly fiercely, and she picks up the parchment in both hands. She closes her eyes and really starts to focus in on it. And about a second and a half later, she gets knocked backwards, like blasted off of her feet, and spews a spurt of blood from her mouth.
Ugh.
Selene immediately rushes to her and starts giving some like basic first aid of like trying to clean her up and stuff. The woman is still moving, but she's sorry, Ellie. I can't look at that. No, it's not worth my life and not worth yours. And Christale takes one more look at this piece of paper, and like for the first time in a while, genuinely looks flabbergasted, like does not understand what's happening. Just, damn. Oh. Delaney, get the hand patched up. Pay her double for her time. Get her back to her shop. You lot? I'm sorry. But if that's any indication of what that contract is going to do, I'm not going to put any of my diviners through that again.
What does that mean? Does that mean that we can't find out what's happening?
The hand. It means there's something stopping me from finding out what's happening. there was a. It's like I walked into a curtain, a veil. And each thread on the veil was a different curse.
Maybe like a cloak.
No. And she is moving of her own volition, but is still pretty beat up. Sorry, Ellie. I will try again the next opportunity. And she shuffles her way out, with Harbrook guiding her.
Commander,
Yep.
who would be strong enough to stop something like that? Are we looking at like deity level here?
I don't think so. You could check with the temple. They might know something, but I doubt this is divine. This feels like criminal. This feels like an organization that's gotten very good at passing messages in a way that if specifically I try and intervene, I get blocked again. I'm so sick of this. Okay. I'm sorry that the hand can't help. But
Let's get some answers.
this might be a boots on the ground sort of investigation. Sorry to say.
Where do we go first?
She points to the now slightly crumpled parchment and says, that insignia would be a really good place to start.
All right, I guess it's time for us to head back to the embassy.
You said the temple might be able to help us.
If you want to check to see if there's divinity at work, they would know better than anyone else in Plenty.
Last time we checked, they were closed, if I remember correctly. Is
What
there
are
any
you
way you
talking
could?
about? The librariat's closed. The temple's open.
Yeah,
the library.
I was at the Temple of 1,000 Gods the other day.
In your conversations with the assassin, did he tell you where he got the contract?
No, he doesn't know where it comes from.
So like it just materialized in his hand one morning? Or did he have to accept it from some kind of, job listing? Or did he get it mailed to him? Did he tell you anything?
No,
Pretty sure it was on Indeed.
yeah, it was probably on Indeed. I can go back and ask him for more information. I do know that he's done a number of jobs for this particular individual.
I was just thinking if he was hired locally, we could get Culinarian Guild jobs from someone here in Satir until we found somebody whose handwriting matched. If he worked for the Culinarians Guild, we could get completely above board normal Culinarian Guild work from as many people as we can,
Mm-hmm.
and see if there's any comparing. Otherwise, I think we're in next time anyway, in just confrontation mode.
Do you want me to go and ask him? Does the group want me to go and ask him?
Question for
Mhm.
the group and
Well,
Zell.
not me, then fine, whatever. I'll back to writing.
Specifically the group and Zell, everyone here. When we got to each embassy, did we have to like sign in?
Yes.
Maybe we could see their logs and see if we can match any sign-in signatures to the writing.
That's a possibility.
Do employees have to sign in though? Like he'd be the lady that asked us to sign in. This would be her boss. Like, does he sign in at the sign-in sheet? That seems odd to me.
Yeah. Well, maybe if they don't
Alarm,
work
but-
specifically at that embassy, maybe they work at another one. I assume if you're visiting an embassy, you have to sign in to show that you're there. Is that how that works, Al?
Yeah, for the most part. Like they have pretty good records all around. You've seen some of how big some of those letters are.
I mean, I think it's worth a check to see if we can cross-reference at all.
I mean, it does give us a place to start.
I don't think it's the best lead, but it's a lead without having to confront anyone, really.
I don't actually remember. Are you doing this conversation with Chris Taylor around?
Sure.
I don't know that we specifically said one way or the other.
Well, let me know, because I don't know if I'm supposed to have a character in this conversation.
I don't know. I'm okay with spitballing around her. What about the rest of you? She might have some insight.
Yeah, the more heads we can put together on this one, the better, probably.
Yeah, I agree.
She's all right. Listen, based on what I'm hearing, whoever hired Mr. Trickle, if he's getting paid anywhere near as much as, well, as much as we may have found on his person, I don't think you're going to find the person that hired him at a local embassy. Something tells me that the money trail is far larger than that, and that's probably going to be back on the mainland. Not that I don't love having you adventurers here, but we don't have any big name culinarians right now in Styr. They all went over to Nazma to deal with the crisis. Well, and all the biggest names are back in their cushy offices back in Portmeria proper.
That's good intel. We're not slated for return to Porta Maria yet.
Well, forgive me for saying this, because I promise that despite how this sounds, you have been helpful to the guard. But what the hell are you doing in my city?
Who remembers what brought us here so that we can get those other jobs done?
To my recollection, we were here because of Primrose, and we were, I think, looking looking for more leads, I think.
We wanted to get God knowledge here.
Yeah, we wanted Temple to God's knowledge, but as a side thing, we just kind of took a job escorting
Which is
someone here.
discussing a person that's been invisible and this person and that Christel knows nothing about, just reminding us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know that there was anything else on our particular mission though that brought us here besides that.
And
Continuing to look for other pieces, and we don't have a ship because Emerald Dawn left us.
also no Gablemo.
No
We were
Golemo.
following. We were trying to get him to join our group.
I like the world where you just say no goblemo in conversation around the commander. And just like, what the?
Of course we do.
These people are idiots. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
No, we just forgot his name.
Oh, yeah, I did hide his token. Not unhide his token, even though
Oh.
he's currently still in space.
We need the Flame stone.
No, you have an Hour Flame Stone.
Oh, we got that. Okay.
Yep.
Let me take that off my list.
I was just recently updating your guys' quest log because I
Oh,
thought that would be a
perfect.
nice thing for me to do for you guys.
Whoop whoop.
That is helpful.
You got the Hour Flame Stone back when you were dealing with the Torb infestation.
That is correct.
that's right.
So currently, your quests are to repair and return the combustion pot,
Mm-hmm.
which you have the Hour Flame Stone. You just need to actually repair it and bring it back. You need to obtain Dreamscape Whites, and you need to hunt down a protein that embodies the concept of victory. And then I'm going to throw you this bone because it's fun to say, what are you even doing in my city?
Mm-hmm.
But the original reason you guys came here was to do research on Telemar and see if there was some secret for ingredients that he may like, which sounded like he was either going to take you to the Librariate or the Temple of Thousand Gods. I'm not actually sure which. And then, other stuff happened.
Yep. And we still don't have a ship.
No, we have a ship.
So I like that we've gone over all of this in front of her. No, we asked Racklin to send us a ship because the Emerald Dawn pieced out. We don't have
No,
a ship.
we commandeered a slaver ship.
That is also true.
And he can come back at any time.
We didn't have to return the slaver ship to the authorities?
I mean, in as much as you guys had to return the cloak and dagger.
Yeah.
You guys sure are being selective about your adventurer pilfering.
I mean, as far as I know, we have a slaver ship now.
Okay. My mistake.
I mean, we wanted to, but then we allowed our friend to take over the ship and not dock it.
So that's what we're doing in your city.
Long story short, a lot of things.
All of those things.
We ended up getting caught up in everything.
We're pretty busy.
Yeah, that is how adventurers tend to be. Okay. Well, listen, you are always welcome. I invite you to come and spend money and enjoy your time in the city, so long as you do so peacefully. And if there's anything I can do to assist, by all means, please feel free to ask. But, in my opinion, I think your investigation is probably going to take you back to these people. And she points to the insignia again.
All right. That's fair.
Sorry if that's not the information that you wanted to hear, but I can only give you what I've got.
What are our options for keeping the heir of the Minra shipping company safe while we continue these investigations?
If you surrender her to the guard, I can have. Well, I could probably. It would probably be safer if I set her up at one of the houses. I could probably set her up not in Voltrials. I'll ask around with the Seven Masters and see if I can find one of them that will take her in as a prospect.
If you
One of
can,
them's got to be hiring.
if you can guarantee her safety, we'll give her the option, but we'll let her choose. We'll come back and see you before we leave.
That's probably a good idea regardless.
Excellent.
All right. I am going to ask one last question because I always like to ask this question at the end of a session. What are you guys planning on doing next so that I can put some plans together? This is me
Murdering.
loading.
Planning on fumbling around and trying to figure it out.
Okay.
That
I
sounds
think
right.
I think
Well-
John and I are in the murdering stage.
So we need to go get the god information and then probably peace out, yeah? If we have everything that we need from this city,
Yeah.
we should collect the rest of our ingredients because how far away are we from the feast too? Like we do actually have a deadline.
You're a little over 5 weeks away,
Okay.
so you have some time, but it will take some travel time to get back.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'd
Yeah,
like
so
to
I
be
think-
done with Satyr and back to main story quest stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can make that happen.
Yeah.
You know what? Just for you, John, I will steer this ship back to the main quest.
Woo!
Woohoo.
You know, this has been a really fun section of this campaign because I didn't know what to expect. And then we got here and fun things just kept happening. And I was like, well, these tie back into the story, but they are not the feast. So we've been kind of jiving a little.
Why
We've
am
been
I
killing a lot of things.
not surprised
That's
that
true.
someone in the Culinarian Guild is dirty? Because they want to host this feast for this god that just came and killed all these people.
I mean-
Presumably not to join Nosma in destruction, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
They are
They're
offering a
probably
feast
the
as like
people
tribute.
who brought the god to it. They're like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
fucking come do this.
Yeah, I'm
Well-
not entirely sure.
Well, I am happy to say that we are finally getting to some of the machinations from the very start of this campaign. I'm glad that we're finally getting to see some of this happen.
Yeah.
But that being said, I am having a wonderful time, and I hope that you guys are at least enjoying it a little bit
Yeah.
because I am enjoying it enough for the 6 of us.
Nice.
You
except
are
for all of the
amazing,
times-
Sal.
Except for like when Thursday comes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't been able to prep a thing. This is the worst. Oh, which has been the last few weeks, but hopefully it's going to get better. So, I'm going to spare you guys a 15-minute TED talk on why my job is rough right now, and instead say, I love you all. I hope that you continue to enjoy this, but I'm going to go use the restroom and then go to sleep.